Today we're going to tell you the storyline of a movie called The Losers from the year 2010, telling us the story about a team of Special Forces soldiers who are betrayed and left for dead after a mission in Bolivia. Seeking revenge and redemption, they join forces with a mysterious operative to take down the man responsible and clear their names. So without further ado, let's get watching. But before we start, please support our channel by subscribing and click the bell icon for future notifications. Now, let's start. The movie starts with four men playing cards, but since they didn't have any betting money, they decided to bet with their rare and valuable weapons instead. The four men consist of Roque, the demo and tactical guy, Pooch, the transportation and heavy weapons guy, Cougar, the long-range eliminator, and Jensen, the comms and tech guy. Soon, the fifth member, Colonel Clay, the operational control, arrives. These five individuals were elite U.S. Special Forces soldiers hired by a mysterious CIA agent named Max, and were tasked with going to Bolivia to locate a drug trafficking and weapon smuggling location run by someone named Fat Hill, who was also suspected of being a terrorist. After reaching the location, they spotted the target and immediately marked it for bombing by the incoming bomber plane in about 8 minutes. However, they were taken aback to see many children there, who were being used as drug couriers and slaves. Clay quickly requested his leader to cancel the mission, but strangely, Max didn't care at all and insisted on bombing the target. In the end, Clay and the others were forced to infiltrate the enemy's base to rescue the children. With only 4 minutes left until the bomb was launched from the bomber plane sent by Max, Clay instructed Jensen and Pooch to steal a usable vehicle, while Clay and Roque entered the room where the children were being held and quickly freed them. However, one of the children informed them that her younger brother had been taken to the second floor and was being held hostage by the leader there. Clay immediately searched for the boy and soon found him, and unexpectedly Clay came face to face with Fat Hill. After a heated argument and negotiation, Clay managed to rescue the boy without a fight. But just before Clay left, for some reason, Fat Hill mentioned that Max would also kill Clay and his friends. Ignoring the threat, Clay shot Fat Hill and left, taking the young boy to safety. With less than 20 seconds left, they hurriedly loaded all the children into Jensen's makeshift bus to get away from the area, driving at high speed. The explosion caused by the bomb dropped from the plane caused the bus to sink into the mud, but thanks to Pooch's skillful driving, the bus finally came to a stop. Luckily, everyone inside survived, so Clay continued leading them towards the rescue helicopter. However, as only one rescue helicopter arrived and the pilot informed them that there wouldn't be enough room for everyone, Clay made the decision to prioritize saving the children first. However, as the rescue helicopter took off, they suddenly heard a deafening noise. Out of nowhere, the bomber plane appeared and targeted the rescue helicopter, obliterating everything in its path. Realizing that the CIA agent actually wanted to kill them all, Clay gathered their dog tags and threw them into the burning wreckage of the helicopter to deceive the agent into believing that all 5 of them were dead. Through news reports of the deaths of 25 children and 5 Special Forces soldiers in the rescue helicopter, these 5 defeated men began their plan for revenge. 4 months later, those who were still in Bolivia had to find money to return to the U.S. Clay and Roque were seen gambling on cockfights. Cougar and Jensen worked at a doll factory, while Pooch seemed to have a new job as a mechanic at a local workshop. After losing in the cockfight betting, Clay discussed with Roque his goal of finding information about who Max really was. It turned out that Clay and the others had never actually met Max and only received orders from him. But Roque argued that it was pointless because they were no longer soldiers, and it was impossible for the 5 of them to take on the entire CIA. Feeling frustrated, Clay visited a bar there and started ordering drinks. But shortly after, he was approached by a mysterious woman. This beautiful woman was a local from the city named Aisha. Seeing the colonel's handsomeness, she began flirting and teasing him, and as a result, Clay invited Aisha to a hotel to play some chess. But suddenly, from the evidence at the crash site, Aisha realized that the 5 of them were still alive as she counted the number of teeth in the helicopter wreckage. Because of that, Aisha wanted to help Clay so they could return to the U.S., but with one condition: he had to cooperate with her in finding and killing Max. Without much thought, Clay finally agreed to the partnership, and they parted ways after Aisha gave him an address to meet her again. The next day, the five of them gathered at a cemetery, and when Jensen traced Aisha's identity, she soon came with information that Max would be in Miami in the next 97 hours. Max would be using an armored vehicle and would be surrounded by at least 30 guards. Aisha, who had access to bring them to the US, would fund their entire mission on the condition that Max must be captured successfully. Of course, in the end, they all agreed to Aisha's request and were fully prepared to take on the CIA and carry out their mission of revenge. On the other side, there was a man named Max, a very cunning businessman, accompanied by his right-hand man named Wade. They were seen visiting Dubai to witness the power of an environmentally friendly explosive called the Snook, which Max plans to purchase. The Snook is a weapon with explosive force nearly equivalent to a nuclear weapon, but with no fallout. Max intended to buy it and sell it at the highest price to anyone interested, as long as he can make a lot of money. Max is an extremely cruel person, to the point that when his umbrella girl was disturbed by the wind, without hesitation, he shot her. The scene shifted to the five loser guys who were successfully smuggled into the US by Aisha by being placed in coffins. Then, bravely, they left the place to start their plan to search for Max by disguising themselves as soldiers who had just been in an accident. Roque and Jensen asked for help from the medical team there, and when the medical helicopter arrived, Cougar quickly shot the soldiers with a tranquilizer while Pooch took their helicopter. Inside their new base, while they were preparing for the next mission, Roque, who still didn't believe in Aisha's intentions, asked what she really wanted from Max. Aisha replied that she wanted to stop Max from buying a dangerous weapon that could destroy the Earth, and they believed her reason. In short, the mission in Miami was about to begin, and when Wade gave orders to all his troops, Roque was seen monitoring with Clay and had successfully shot a tracking device onto one of the bulletproof trucks so that Jensen could track it. Meanwhile, Cougar was ready on top of a building to aim at his target, and when Max's group was seen passing by, suddenly, because the situation was deemed chaotic, the street was closed, and the enemy troops immediately protected the main truck where Max was in. Because they didn't want to waste time, Clay launched gas shots to facilitate Pooch's action. However, Wade, Max's right-hand man, saw Pooch's face and finally found out that Clay and his team were still alive. Although eventually discovered by Wade, Pooch continued his mission and lowered his helicopter to lift Max's truck. Jensen quickly shot the lock so that the truck door could not be opened, allowing Pooch to easily take the truck away with his hijacked helicopter. After everyone gathered at their headquarters, they started trying to open the door of the truck. It turned out that Max wasn't inside the truck, but instead, there were just regular US troops, and strangely enough, these soldiers didn't even know who Max was. Aisha, who was considered to have lied because Max wasn't in the truck, was still forgiven by Clay. And as Clay tried to explain his goal, Roque, feeling disgusted, said he didn't want revenge against Max, but just wanted a normal life. Hearing that response, a sudden conflict erupted. From this, it can be concluded that Max wasn't a CIA agent, but a smuggler who ordered Clay and his friends under the guise of the CIA. Besides some soldiers, there was a hard drive from the Goliath company inside the truck, and the files on it could only be accessed with the algorithmic data from that company itself. Clay thought that maybe the hard drive he found could help in their search. In another location, Wade was seen meeting with Max to inform him that Clay and his friends were still alive. Wade also explained that the ones who attacked and even stole his hard drive were Clay's men. Knowing that he would be hunted, Max instructed Wade to gather 18 armed soldiers within a 12-hour time frame. The next day, Jensen, who was sent by Clay to disguise himself as a courier, acted rowdy to sneak into the Goliath office. Then Jensen called Anderson, the head of human resources there, claiming to be from the security department, and asked Anderson to come down to the lobby because there was an important issue while changing his clothes in the elevator. He then pretended to be an IT technician and explained to the secretary there that he would fix Anderson's broken computer. Quickly, Jensen grabbed the needed algorithm data. However, suddenly the security guards appeared to confront him, and when he was cornered, Jensen threatened them with his deceptive superpower, allowing him to escape. Upon reaching the hideout, Jensen opened the stolen hard drive with the algorithm, and it turned out that the files contained hidden money amounting to $400 million, which Max had obtained from selling the Snook to international terrorists. There were also recordings indicating that Max's headquarters were located at the Los Angeles harbor. In a nutshell, once they arrived at the harbor, they immediately made a plan to infiltrate Max's headquarters. While Jensen was hacking into a system, he discovered the involvement of Fat Hill, and it turned out that Aisha was Fat Hill's daughter seeking revenge against Max for her father's death. Then the four of them quickly went to Clay to inform him about what they had discovered. On the other hand, Aisha, who had just lost in a game of chess, started questioning about the events in Bolivia, and Clay became suspicious that Aisha was part of Fat Hill's family. Soon enough, they were both surprised by the arrival of 4 of their friends, and a shootout broke out among them. After the shootout scene, they continued their plan to enter the harbor to find and kill Max. But just as the explosives were successfully set up, Roque asked Clay to look at the shipping container filled with stacks of money. Taking advantage of Clay's distraction, Roque suddenly struck him from behind, betraying them and causing his comrades to be captured. However, shortly after, Aisha arrived with an RPG launcher to free their friends. After successfully escaping, they regrouped behind the shipping container, but Aisha suddenly aimed her gun and asked who killed her father because she knew that Fat Hill was aware of Max's plan and wanted to stop it. When Clay admitted to his actions, Aisha fired her shot, but it was towards the enemy who was attempting to attack them from behind. Quickly, they got into a van and headed to a pier where they suspected the snook would be activated, causing global terror and giving Max more power. As the losers arrived, Clay began chasing after Roque, who was trying to escape while loading the money onto an aircraft, while the others pursued and fought against Max's henchmen. Wade, knowing that Roque was about to take off, quickly pursued him on a motorcycle. However, Clay, standing between the plane and the motorcycle, waited for the actions that Cougar would take, and suddenly,
outstanding.
Upon learning that the snook bomb had been activated and seeing the chaotic situation, Max attempted to escape, but Clay quickly pursued him, causing his getaway helicopter to lose control as Clay shot at it. Shortly after, Max threatened to press the detonator and set off all the snook bombs. However, Clay quickly shot Max, causing him to drop the detonator into the ocean. Clay hurriedly jumped to catch the detonator, and luckily, he managed to retrieve it. Shortly afterward, his friends arrived to pick him up, although unfortunately, they lost Max, who had managed to escape. However, they succeeded in saving the world from the destruction of the snook explosion, and the movie finally ended. What do you think of the movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to hit like and support our channel by subscribing to push us even more to create other great recaps just like this one. And if you have any specific movie you want us to recap, please do tell us in the comments section as well. And until next time.